So now we move on to the next chapter, that is the diode rectifier. This is uncontrolled AC to DC converters. Okay. You are you with me? Are you hearing?
Yes, Dr. Sabi.
We hear you. Yes, we hear you.
Okay, so I have used little part from Ned Mohan and M.H. Rashid, but most of the part is using the your book. Initially, I was planning to have the concept from different parts, but then I thought that it's better to just give you mostly from your textbook so that you can follow exactly the lecture what we are giving here. So I have divided this AC to DC converter. Actually, this is AC to DC converter. This is one part of the course. So this can be diode based. This can be diode based, or this can be thyristor based, and this can be even like BJT or MOSFET or IGBT based. So here we will discuss the diode based, and next we'll discuss the thyristor based. And this one maybe I can give you some introduction, but actually this will not cover. Okay, maybe you will cover in the next course if you take the advanced power electronics. Otherwise, these two will be enough for you to follow these AC/DC converters. In high power applications, we used both of these, like diodes and thyristor based converters. This is for mostly for controlled converters. These are fully controlled converters. This is uncontrolled converter, this is semi-controlled converter, and this is full controlled. Diode based is uncontrolled because you are using diode. It is uncontrolled. Thyristor is semi-controlled because you have only on control. You do not have off control. But this is fully controlled. This is fully controlled. In the diode based, it is unidirectional. Thyristor you can make bidirectional, and BJT and MOSFET based you can make bidirectional. What is the meaning of unidirectional and bidirectional? Unidirectional means current flows from AC to DC side only. But if you have bidirectional converter, then the current can flow from DC to AC side also. DC to AC side also. So if you are using a battery charging applications, then you will do AC to DC converter. But if you have regenerative braking, for example, or if you have V2G operation in electric vehicle to grid operation, then we will use this second one. That's the bidirectional converter, where you can convert, because it's not only AC. There will be one more stage here, that will be DC, because it is battery operated system. If you have a battery operated electric vehicle system like this, then you can have the bidirectional. Then you have to use the bidirectional DC to AC converter. Or in any case, if you want to transfer power from DC side to AC side, then you have to use bidirectional converter. But in simple applications, and where we do not have regenerative braking, or we do not have anything to feed back to the grid, then we simply use the diode based rectifier or thyristor based rectifiers. Okay. So here we will discuss single phase half wave rectifier. Yes.
Doctor, for the semi-controlled device, you said the thyristor. We will not cover the GTO since it's fully controlled?
No, we'll not go to GTO.
Okay.
So single phase half wave rectifier, single phase full wave rectifier, single phase bridge rectifier, and then 3-phase bridge rectifier. Okay. So this we will cover here. Okay. This is all diode based in this chapter, diode based. And the same thing we will repeat for thyristor based. Okay, later. I uploaded the slides, but still it is not complete. The chapter is not complete. So I will add to this chapter, and then you will have the complete. Okay. So until now, it's only this part that is you can see in your slides. Single phase half wave rectifier. So inexpensive rectifiers with diodes to convert the input AC to DC in an uncontrolled manner. When we say uncontrolled, because you are using diode, and as you know that the diode start operating as soon as its anode is having greater voltage than the cathode. Power flow is only from AC side to the DC side, and that is why it is called unidirectional converters. Unidirectional converters. Large capacitors is used as filter to achieve ripple-free DC output. So this is a large capacitor that is used to filter out the ripple in the voltage. So here you have AC, and then after rectification you will have like this DC, but this has large ripple. This is your ripple. This is the ripple. So to remove the ripple, to make it like constant DC, we use a capacitor. So capacitor always used as a voltage filter. Capacitor is used as voltage filters. Voltage filters means if you have like large ripple in the voltage, and if you capacitor, then it will have lower ripple. It will have lower ripple. Ripple will be reduced. You cannot completely eliminate it, but you can reduce it to a large extent. Okay, so capacitor is always used as a voltage filter. Remember this thing. And current, the inductor is always used as current filter. It is used as a current filter. So that means if you have a current like this, and you want a constant current DC, then you add a inductor, then the current will be having reduced ripple. Okay, so diodes are inexpensive rectifiers that converts AC to DC in an uncontrolled manner. The power flows from the AC side to the DC side only, and large capacitor is used in order to achieve a ripple-free DC output. So this is my rectifier. Input is AC, output is DC, input is AC, output is DC, and this is the output that we get. This is having ripple. Ripple means what? This is the maximum value, this is the minimum value. So V max, and this is V min. This is V minimum, this is V maximum. So V max minus V min is what we called as voltage ripple. And if you get in ideal DC, this is ideal DC. This is ideal DC, a constant line, but this is ideal. And practically what we get is like this. Practically what we get is like this. But certainly you can reduce this delta V by adding a big capacitor. By adding capacitor, you can achieve close to the ideal, but not the ideal. Understand? Now let us see a half wave rectifier with a purely resistive load. So this is my diode, this is the load resistance, and this is AC source. So due to this diode, what we will get at the output is DC. Here we will get DC. And what is my input is AC. So this is called a rectifier. But it rectifies only half of the cycle. So that's why it is called half wave rectifier. Because AC is like this. AC is like this. So what is this? This is positive cycle, this is negative cycle, or negative half cycle. I would say negative half cycle. So this is my one cycle of AC. One cycle of AC. This is called positive half cycle. This is called positive half cycle. And this is called negative half cycle. This is called negative half cycle. So what it does, that it rectifies the positive half cycle, but it doesn't do anything with the negative half cycle. So it is only like half of the cycle it rectifies, and that is why it is called half wave rectifier. It's called half wave rectifier. So what you see, that this is my source voltage. This is my source voltage, AC. Then at the output, what we get, that when this is positive and this is negative, this is first positive half cycle. So as soon as this is positive, this will turn on. This will turn. Diode is on. So when diode is on, you get across the load whatever is your source voltage minus the drop that takes place in the diode. If we assume ideal diode, there is no drop. So if we do not assume any drop, then what we get, we get the same as the positive half cycle. Whatever is my source voltage, the same will be my load voltage. The same will be my load voltage. And as soon as the half cycle changes, that means we have the polarity like this, negative and positive in the negative half cycle. Then what happens, that this become off. So we get nothing. At the load side. We get nothing at the load side. And then once again it is positive source, then I get the output voltage will be following the input voltage. So every half cycle we get like this. Okay. This is what we see as the output voltage. Now, what about the current? The current in the output, the current, since it is a resistive load, the current is equal to V by R. So whatever is my output voltage, just divide by R, we will get the current. So my current will be exactly the same unity power factor, as you can see that. This is how I get the current, which through the load, and when there is no voltage in the load, there is no current in the load. So the load voltage and the load current, they are having the same shape. Okay. Now, so the load voltage and the current have an average component. The source and the load current are the same, because you see here, this is the source current, and this is the load current. So the source current and the load current is the same, because it is simple series circuit. So in my source side, there is always source current is like this. It is always also DC. So the source current and the load current both are DC. And that is why we do not use a transformer in half wave rectifier source side. No transformer is used. Because the source current is also DC. So if you have a DC, then the transformer will saturate. So we do not want in such places to use a transformer. Voltage and current has huge ripple. Because you see, this is the ripple is equal to what? It is equal to the peak value. Is equal to the peak value. If this kind of supply is given to a DC motor, what will happen? If this kind of supply is given to the DC motor, what will happen? Can you tell me? Suppose this is a DC motor here, and you give supply like this. You give supply like this. So what will happen? That you see, it will. Yes.
I think it will run on the average speed because there is a zero component. And
yeah, it will. But you see, there will be like like half cycle only you are giving supply. In the next half cycle, you are not giving supply. So what will happen when you give supply? The speed will increase. When there is no supply, the speed will decrease. So there will be like fluctuation in speed. So this is not a good idea to give this kind of supply to the DC motor. And next question is, what will happen to a transformer if there is any at the source side? So as I told you that the AC current and the DC current are the same in this case. So we do avoid using transformer. Otherwise, transformer will not work. It will saturate. Now draw the voltage across the diode. So how the diode voltage will look like?
Doctor, I didn't understand how the transformer will saturate if the current or the voltage is being changed cycle.
Do you use DC for a transformer?
No, of course not. But this is not a full ideal DC. It still has some AC components, right?
No. This is a DC with ripple. Yes, this is a DC with ripple. This is a DC with ripple. So you see, in this the flux will increase, but you will have no negative current to deflux the winding.
The inductor. Okay. Got it.
Now, please draw the voltage across the diode. So what will happen to the diode voltage? So you see, from here to here, diode is on. Diode is on. And from here to here, diode is off. Yes. So when diode is on, what is the voltage across the diode?
It is 0, but 1.5 in case of non-ideal.
Yes. So if I am assuming ideal, then it will be 0 here. And then in the negative, it will be same as the source voltage. It will be same as the source voltage. So it will be like this. So this is the diode voltage. Okay. And so what is the output DC voltage? The output DC voltage, if we take
Doctor?
Yes.
Isn't it a normal diode, not a power diode, or it's a power diode?
You see, this is the operation. Whether you are using a power diode or a signal diode, the operation remains the same. The only thing is that the voltage drop will be different. Like 0.7 in the case of signal and 1 to 1.5 in case of power diode. But the operation remains the same. The waveform remains the same.
Okay.
Now, what is the value of the DC voltage or the average DC voltage? So average DC voltage, because this is my voltage. This is my voltage. So if I take the average, so the average will be 1 by 2 pi, 0 to pi, because the total period is 2 pi, but you have only from 0 to pi, you have the output voltage. So 0 to pi, Vm sine omega t d omega t. And this gives you Vm by pi. This gives you Vm by pi, where Vm is the peak value of this source. Peak value of source voltage. This is the average DC output. This is the average DC output. And what is the average DC current? VDC by R. So it is VM by pi R. Okay. This is the DC voltage. What about the RMS? So RMS voltage is given as 1 by 2 pi 0 to pi Vm square d omega t. So it is equal to Vm by 2. And what is the RMS current? Im by 2R. Just to divide by R, that give you the current. And what is the power loss? The power loss is I square into R. So it is I square RMS into R. So V square RMS by R. And what is V square RMS? Is Vm square by 4 divided by R. So this is the power loss. So now based on this is an example. It says that for a half wave rectifier, this is from your book, the source is sinusoidal.
Professor?
Yes.
In order to find the VRMS, I remember in circuit 2 we learned that we need to divide by root 2, I think.
Yes.
Why here it's different?
Well, yeah, because that what you read is for sine wave. That was for sine wave. When you have a complete sine wave like this, then your RMS is equal to V max by root 2. Okay. That was for your sine wave. But here it is half sine wave. It is not like pure sine wave. Okay. It is half sine wave only. So you get Vm by 2. Okay. Does it make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. Thank you, Doctor.
Yeah. Even if you divide by 2, this become, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, so since it is half, that's why it is like this. And since there is no linear relation, it is like square root and all this. So now for the half wave rectifier, the source is sinusoidal of 120 volt RMS at a frequency of 60 hertz. The load resistance is 5 ohm. Determine the average load current. You have to find out the average load current. So to get the average load current, this is the average load current. You need to first get the average DC output and then you divide by R. And what is average DC output is Vm by. So Vm by pi is your average DC output. And what is Vm? Now here you will use this root 2 equation because this is sinusoidal source 120 volt. So 120 volt sinusoidal source, you multiply it by root 2 to get the peak value. So root 2 into 120 is your Vm. So 120 root 2 divided by pi is your average DC output. And then to get the DC current, it's 100 voltage divided by R. So you get 10.8 ampere. Understand?
Yes, Professor.
Now, it says the average power absorbed by the load. So to get the power absorbed, it is I square R or V square by R. V RMS square by R. So to get V square RMS, V RMS is equal to Vm by 2 because it is half sine wave. So the RMS value is Vm by 2 and Vm is root 220 divided by 2. That gives you 84.9. And then the power absorbed is V square RMS by R. The value of R is 5, not 4. This is wrong.
Doctor?
Make it 5. Yes.
Doctor, can you please repeat part A?
Okay.
I got lost.
Okay, no problem. I will explain. Just let me check the calculation of this 84.9 into 84.9 is equal to this divided by 5 should be 1440. Okay, the answer is correct, but this value was not correct. Okay. Now the first part is that you have to find out average load current. It is asked you to get the average load current. So average load current is what? IDC. IDC is what? VDC by R. And what is VDC? VDC is your average output voltage, which is given as Vm by pi. And what is Vm? Is the peak value of the source voltage. Vm is the peak value of source voltage. And how much is the source voltage? It is given as 120 volt. So it is 120 times root 2. That will be your peak value divided by pi. That give you the average DC voltage. So this average DC voltage is how much? Let us check. 120 into root 2. 120 into root 2. 169.7 divided by pi. It is 54 volt. This is 54.02 volt. This is the average DC output voltage. Divide this by the resistance and that gives you the current. So the current will be, divide this by 5 and that gives you the current. Is it clear now?
Yes, doctor. Thank you.
Okay. And then power factor of the current. You see, power factor always we calculate using this formula. The power is the apparent power multiplied by power factor. Okay. So the power loss I told you here unity power factor. I'm sorry about that. I don't think this is we cannot calculate from here because we have to take the fundamental component of this. We have to take the fundamental component of this and then we have to check what is the power factor. Okay. So we have to do the Fourier series of this and then we get the power factor from the waveform. So we cannot look at the waveform and we can tell that this is the power factor. Always you have to use this expression to calculate power factor. So just delete that part and what I said, unity power factor case. If it is complete sine wave, then it is okay. If it is complete sine wave like this, and you see the current is also following like this, then unity power factor is correct. But in this case, it is half wave, so we cannot say. So because now this has half wave, so we have to use the Fourier analysis, and then we have to check the fundamental component. But here, what we can do that more easily we can calculate the power factor using this expression, which is the active power divided by the apparent power. So active power is your power loss 1440 and the apparent power is Vs RMS into Is RMS. This is source side voltage and current. Okay. And source current and the load current is the same. Source current and the load current is the same. So I RMS is your 17 ampere and V RMS is 120 that is given. So you calculate power factor from here. We calculate power factor from here.
How to determine whether the power factor is leading or lagging, or we don't care here?
That actually, if you have like resistive, if there is no capacitor in the load, then there will be certainly there will be no leading thing. There will be always lagging. So if we have a capacitor, then only we bother about if it is leading or not. So if this is resistive load, so it's okay, no problem. And you see, but if you have normal sine wave and it is supplying a resistive load, then it will be completely unity power factor. But what you see here that it is a resistive load supplied by a AC source, but still it is not unity power factor. Why? Because it is not complete sine wave. We are talking about half sine wave. So that's why we this power factor is actually coming from the fundamental. It's not coming from the, and the fundamental is different than what I see the waveform. Okay. Now the next is RL load. So this is more complicated. This RL load is more complicated, and it requires like clear understanding, and the analysis is also not simple. Analysis is also not simple, as you can see that in case of the resistive load, you simply divide by R and you get the current. But in case of RL load, you will see that it's not that straightforward. So let us see the RL load. And you see inductance is a energy storing element. Inductance is a energy storing element. So what happens that the when in some part of the, or when the current is when the source is supplying current to the inductor, it will store energy, it will charge the inductor, and once the source is not available, then the inductor will discharge the energy. So it will charge from the source and it will discharge into the load. So charge from source and discharge to load when source is not connected. So what happens here? You see this is my you see, we have to understand the waveforms. We have to understand the waveforms. So what you see here, this is my source voltage. This is my source voltage, which is a sine wave. Okay, no problem. Now next, when you give the positive, when the source starts this as positive half cycle, so this is positive, this is negative. So when this is positive, what will happen? Diode will be on. And when diode is on, the current starts flowing like this. Current flows like this. And current flows like this. So there will be a voltage drop across the resistance, I into R. And there will be a voltage drop across the inductance, which is L di by dt. So you can write the KVL equation as Vs is equal to IR plus L di by dt and plus the voltage drop across the diode, which I am considering 0 here. Okay, plus voltage drop across the load. So IR is your voltage across resistance. So voltage across resistance also goes like this. And what is L di by dt? L di by dt is what? Vs minus IR. It is Vs minus IR. So as long as Vs is greater than IR, L di by dt is positive. L di by dt is positive. And that means di by dt is positive. That means current rises. Understand? Current rises. Next, what happens? As soon as from here, from this equation, as soon as Vs is less than VR or IR, voltage across resistance, L di by dt is negative. That means di by dt is negative. That means current falls. And when current fall, what will be the voltage across inductor? Voltage across inductor will be negative. VL will be negative. This we have seen earlier, that VL is L di by dt If di by dt is positive, inductor voltage is positive, VL is positive. And if di by dt is negative, VL is negative. VL is negative. And when VL is negative, the inductor discharges, and the current falls. So this is the current at this point when my VR and Vs both are equal, when VR and Vs equal, what will be di by dt? LDI by dt?
Zero.
When Vs, it will be zero. Exactly. It will be zero. So when LDI by dt is zero, that means the rate of change of current is zero. That means I is maximum. I is maximum. So, you know, this is the condition for the maxima and minima. The derivative should be zero. So the current reaches maximum at this point, when VR is equal to Vs. The current reaches maximum. And during all this time from here to here, your inductor voltage VL is positive. But as soon as VR, you see, source voltage drops below the VR. So when source voltage is less than VR, your voltage, inductor voltage goes negative. Current falls. Interestingly, the current, because it is inductor, it takes some time, according to L by R time constant, it takes some time for current to discharge and go to zero. So you will see that the diode conducts beyond this point. It will conduct beyond this point. Even it will conduct for some of the negative side of the source voltage, which was not the case in the resistive load. In the resistive load, as soon as the supply voltage is zero, it goes to negative, the current ceases to flow. Because it is resistive load, there is no way that the current can continue to flow. So current will exceed pi. Now, how much it will exceed? This duration depends upon the value of L and R. If the ratio of L and R is high, it goes much more beyond this point. If it is less, it will quickly dies. But certainly all the time it will go beyond pi. And the angle at which the current becomes zero, we call this as extinction angle. When the current extinct, it becomes zero. Extinction angle, given as beta. So the current falls, goes zero. Now, please ask me if you have any confusion at this point.
The last part explained that I did not understand it about the current and the ratio of L and R.
You see, as you know, that the behavior of inductance is such that the current slowly rises and slowly falls. This is the characteristic of inductor. You cannot jump the current through inductor and you cannot jump it off to zero. And the inductor always opposes the change in the current. So it does not allow fast rise of current or fast. So if it is a resistance, there will be sudden on in the current and off in the current, sharp on and off. But if it is inductor, it takes some time for current to build and then the current to fall. So current is increasing slowly. It reaches maximum and then it starts falling and it drops to 0. But it does not drop to 0 at this point. Naturally, it should come to 0 here, but it does not come to 0 here. It still keeps on falling, and it takes some time for the current to become 0. Although your source voltage has reversed the polarity, but still the current still is in the circuit, that it keeps the diode on, and the circuit is still there for the current to flow, but the current will start falling and it will drop to 0 at some angle beyond pi. This is due to the fact that there is an inductor in the circuit. Inductor does not allow a quick fall in the current. It takes some time for the current to slowly fall. And you have already seen the resistance behavior. You have already seen the resistance behavior. You see, this was the resistance. This is in the resistance, the current reaches peak according to the voltage peak and current peak. Then it falls, current falls, it goes 0, current goes 0. But if you have an inductor here, it will not allow the current to be 0 here. It will extend the current. It will extend the current to a value more than pi. So the current rises, fall, and it will rise until what point? According to the Kirchhoff voltage law, as we have just seen, that the Vs is equal to IR plus LdI by dt. So LdI by dt is equal to Vs minus IR. So when Vs is equal to IR, LdI by dt is equal to 0, and that is the point when the current reaches maximum. And current reaches maximum at this point, and after that current starts falling because Vs is now more than the Vr. So it is negative. Sorry, IR is more than Vs. So the LdI by dt is negative. So when LdI by dt is negative, current starts falling, and current will fall from here, and it will reach 0 at this point. And the time when the current is rising, all the time your inductor voltage is positive, and once it starts falling, the inductor voltage is actually negative, and that is why your current has started falling. And this is the angle at which the current becomes 0, and this is called extinction angle. Now this duration from pi to this value, this depends upon how much is the inductance in your circuit. Rather, how strong is your inductance in the circuit. It is the ratio of L by R that decide how long it takes for the current to go beyond pi. If you have L is more compared to R, then it will like further slowly like fall. It falls slowly, but when your inductance is low, it falls quickly. Does this make sense?
Yes, doctor. Thank you.
So this is RL circuit. This is RL circuit behavior. Yes.
I have a question. Let us assume we have two circuits. Both of them are half-wave rectifiers. One of them has inductor, and one of them doesn't have one. So my question is, will the presence of the inductor affect the average voltage across the load, even though both loads have the same values?
A very good question. Thank you very much for asking intelligent question, and I'm happy. Actually, I was just coming to that point, and you asked the question which I was going to answer in the next. I was just giving you some time to absorb the concept, and then I will explain what is the average voltage. Certainly, the average voltage, when you have RL, the average voltage will be reduced. Average voltage will be reduced, and why it will reduce, that I will tell you. You see how the what is the voltage across the load. I will draw now the voltage across the load. I will draw the voltage across the load. So let us see how the voltage across the load looks like. So the voltage across the load will look like this. It is same as the source voltage, same as the source voltage, same as the source voltage, same as the source voltage until this point. But still, you see, there is a conduction, and this negative portion because the diode is still conducting. Diode is still conducting. So diode conducting from here to here. This is the diode on, period. So my voltage will exceed pi. So this is my average voltage. Sorry, this is my voltage waveform. This is my voltage waveform. This is my voltage waveform. Okay. So in the earlier case, as you said, that when there is only resistance, this was my voltage. And when it is an inductance, then I have this extra portion, which is negative portion. So what will happen to the average value? Because of this negative, the average value will reduce. Average value will reduce. Does this make sense?
Doctor, I have another question.
Yes.
Doctor, in the beginning of the current waveform, there's a slight delay. Is it due to the inductance? It doesn't it doesn't rise quickly. There is a slight delay.
Yes, certainly. There is a, as you see, because of inductance, there is a slow rise and there is a slow fall. Okay. So now the diode, the output voltage waveform, the output voltage waveform will have some negative portion also, and this is the from here to here, and this is my output voltage. This is my output voltage, and then this follows. Okay, and this is my voltage across resistance. This is my voltage across inductance, and from here to here the diode is on. So what is the diode voltage? We can draw the diode voltage. You see, diode voltage will be like this. It will be 0 from here to here, or 1.5 volt if it is a power diode, or 0.7 volt if it is a signal diode. But if it is ideal diode, this will be 0. And then it will take all the source voltage. It will take the source voltage. It will block the source voltage. So this is the voltage waveform for the diode. Okay. So this is all about the discussion on the waveform of RL circuit. Because if you understand this clearly, then now, moving to RC circuit or, only like RLE circuit and all this, and it will be clear to you. So if you still have some confusion, please ask.
Doctor, if I have a large enough L over R ratio or a suitable value, is it possible to get the entire source voltage across the output?
You see, you have to have very big inductance. So I don't know.
Professor,
if it
I
is
have a
possible
comment
to
on
have
his question.
Yes.
I think it will remain the same, and I'm going to say why I think that. Because if we have large inductance, the voltage in order to reach the load will take more time. So I think it will remain the same.
Actually, this is governed by this equation. You see, this is governed by the equation that Vs is equal to Ri plus LdI by dt. Okay. So you solve this equation using Laplace and then try to see it. So because IR will be there when there is a current, there is IR. When the current is not there, there is no IR. But LdI by dt will also be, you see, here the inductor voltage is positive, then it goes negative. And this is your VR. So if you take the sum of these two, it will be your source voltage. It will be your source voltage. It will be your source voltage. So source voltage all the time will respect this equation, that is Ri plus LdI by dt. When it goes negative, then you see what happens, that you have LdI by dt negative. Okay. Anyway, we'll see that. I don't know, like I cannot answer this question that will, is it possible to cover the whole entire 2 cycles or not? And I don't think so. I don't think so. But mathematically we have to prove that. Anyway, so all this, what I explained you is mentioned here. All this is already explained. Now let us see what is the average output voltage. Let us see what is the average output voltage. So average output voltage is now 1 upon 2 pi, which is the total period. Before it was 0 to pi, but now it will be 0 to beta. 0 to beta. Vm sin omega t d omega t. So what you get is this equation. This is your average output voltage. This is your average output voltage. Now what happens if beta is equal to 0?
The average
Voltage will be 0.
Happen if beta is equal to pi? Not beta is equal to 0 is not a good example. Beta is equal to pi.
It will be m over pi.
So beta is equal to pi is same as resistive circuit.
Yeah, it will be as if the inductor is not there.
Yeah. So now you see this beta is causing a reduction in the overall output voltage. Yes, because your average voltage was Vm by pi. This must be greater than this value, Vm by 2 pi 1 minus cos beta. So the question was that if the average voltage will remain same or it will be different, it will be like this, okay? It will be governed by this equation. And as you can see that the beta will, whatever is the value of beta, according to that, you will have the, now what happens if beta is equal to 2 pi? This was your question, yes? Probably we can answer from here. If the beta is 2 pi, you mean, you understand what is the meaning of 2 pi? Where is the beta now?
Yes.
Beta is
It's like,
if
yes.
I cover everything. So what will be the average voltage? Then it will be 0. 2 pi is 1. Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
It will be 0. Why it will be 0? That means you will have equal positive and equal negative. Then you will have equal positive and equal negative. It is like same as your AC to AC conversion. This is no more AC to DC. You will get AC at the output. Yes? Do you understand?
Yes. Yes. Understood.
Not to make it AC to AC. Our aim is to make it AC to DC. So we need more positive than negative. Okay. Now let us see the analysis of this. And the analysis of this half bridge with RL load. So the KVL equation during forward bias condition is this. Now solution of this differential equation, you can use Laplace to find the solution. Here it is the time domain approach that is given in your book. And as you know that as a standard approach, the total response will be the forced response plus the natural response. And the forced response plus natural response. Natural response means no source. And force means there is a force. There is a source. So this is no source. Is with source. So forced response is what? Forced response, you see, this is the equivalent circuit. This is your forced response, and this is natural response. This is 0. Natural response means this will be short circuit like this. Okay, there is no source. But this is how the single like first order differential equation is solved. So the forced response is the steady state response and can be obtained from phasor analysis. So forced current is Vm by Z. Voltage, see, Vm into sine omega t. This is my voltage. So what will be the current? This is my voltage. So what will be my current? Divide this by impedance and put an angle. Put an angle because this is according to the impedance angle. We put this angle theta, that is the phase shift between the voltage and current. So the forced response is directly computed from here. The voltage divided by impedance, and you put some angle. And the impedance is given by this, and theta is given by this, omega tan inverse omega L by R. So this is called force response. Clear? And what is the natural response? Natural response means there is no source. So that is RL plus L di by dt is equal to 0. Now the solution to this equation is this: A e to the power of minus t by tau, where tau is equal to L by R. That is this is simple RL circuit. This is RL circuit like this. It is RL circuit. And when you add these two, this is my total response, total current. And now to get the value of A, you use the initial condition. So initial current is 0. So you put this initial condition, omega t is equal to 0. You put this, you get the value of A. And A is this. And when you get this A, you put back A here. So this is my total current. This is my total current. This is my total current. Okay. Now this is in terms of t. If you want to write in terms of omega t, just you put omega t here. And in place of this t, I will write omega t. And in place of this tau, I will write omega tau. So this is my expression for the current. This is the expression for the current. So this is the solution of the differential equation. Okay. So the point when the current reaches 0 occurs when the diode turns off. The first positive value of equation 1 results in 0 current is called the extinction angle beta. So how do we get? To get beta from equation number 1, you put omega t is equal to, you see here, at omega t is equal to beta, you put omega t is equal to beta, and then you solve this equation, we get the value of beta. But you see, this is a complex equation to solve. You cannot have a closed form solution for this. So you have to use numerical method to solve the equation to get the value of beta, And then you can write the total response as, this is your natural plus force response. This is from 0 to beta, and from beta to 2 pi, you have 0. You have any question here?
Doctor?
Yes.
Doctor, how you are going to ask us in the exam?
You see, this is the major problem, that all the time your mind is working on exam. You never work on your on the gaining knowledge. So I'm not bothering for now about the exam. I'm not thinking how I'm going to ask in your exam. But what is my aim is to give you the concept of this topic that I am teaching, and I want you to understand this fully. Now, how I'm going to ask you question, do you expect that I give you this equation and I ask you to solve using numerical method? No. The course is not about the solving numerical method. Course is about the waveform, is about the behavior, is about the major big picture of the rectifier. It's not about the solving this nonlinear equation. So just see, you have some example also that we are solving. Just now we solved one numerical example here. We solved one example. Okay. But if of course, if these type of examples are asked, the formula should be given to you. Like, we don't expect you to memorize the formula. Okay. But I expect you to understand the formula, and I expect you to understand the concept. I expect that you understand the waveform. I expect that you understand the complete working of the circuit. Does this make sense?
Yes, doctor, but I just meant that we need to know how to solve the problem.
Yes, so problem, I am giving you the problem. I just gave you one problem. Now this is the topic. Once I will finish this topic, I will give you an example. Let this topic be finished, then I will give you an example.
Okay.
So the power loss is I square into R. I square RMS into R. So this is the power. This is the power loss in the resistance only, because there is no power loss in inductor. The power loss, as you know, inductor is 0. So there is a power loss only in the resistance. So it is I square RMS into R. Now how you get I RMS? This is your equation for the current, but it is not about the RMS. So let us find the RMS current. So RMS current is this: 1 by 2 pi 0 to beta I square omega t d omega t under root. So by solving this equation, you get the RMS value, and from the RMS value, you can square it and multiply by R to get the answer. Now the average current is this. Average current is this, and this is the RMS current. Okay. This is about the current. And what about the voltage? The voltage, RMS voltage we did not find. We just find here the DC average voltage. Okay. And this is the average load current. This is the average load current. Now this is an example that for the half wave rectifier, value of R, L, omega given, peak value of the source voltage given, determine the expression for the current in this circuit. Then the average current, RMS current, power absorbed, and the power factor. So impedance is calculated, theta is calculated, omega t is calculated. Then the expression for the current will be simply putting the value, these values for 0 to beta. You put here. Okay. Now, to get the value of beta, we have to solve this. You can use MATLAB program to solve this. Use any numerical finding program. You can find beta, and this found to be 201 degree. Of course, this question, if it is asked, it will be simplified, or maybe the value of beta will be given to you somehow, or maybe this part will not be asked. Something will be done, and because we do not expect you to do this during exam, but certainly you have to do this during your homework, or you should practice this and how to get the solution for this. So you should know exactly how to get the solution. And the average is 1 by 2 pi 0 to beta. You get this value. Their RMS, still you find the same expression. You can put the values here. You get the. You can also try this from the VDC value. Try to get from VDC value. Okay. Try to get from VDC value. This is all about the current from here. There is no voltage expression is given from here, but you try to find. But in that case also, you need to know the value of beta. Okay. So now then you find the power loss using this, and this is another way to find the power loss that's given, and the power factor is given like this. Okay. So please solve this problem, and we'll continue from here. So now let me start the checking. In the meantime, if you want to ask anything, you can